Hey everyone, Nicholas from Growth Marketer here, and in this short video I want to tell you about a concept called first principles thinking and how it applies to the work that marketers do. Let's jump right in. So you may have heard of first principles thinking before, but if not, this is a quick definition. It's a way for us to break down complicated problems into basic elements and then reassemble them from the ground up. Now, this is not specific to marketing. This is a concept that's been around for a very long time, and it's applied to a whole bunch of different industries and different ways of working. And this is something that I think marketers can benefit from if we also learn to adapt first principles thinking, because so much of what we do as marketers is really just a collection of these tiny little challenges, and if we string them together in the right way with the right strategy and the right tactics and the right tools and processes, then we're going to have significant results. And that's really why it's important to think with this first principles mindset. And in fact, Elon Musk is a fan of first principles thinking. This is a quote from him. He says, "I tend to approach things from a physics framework, and physics teaches you to reason from first principles rather than by analogy." So no matter what you think of Elon Musk with his different views, he's definitely been able to accomplish a lot of things with all of his different companies and endeavors. And part of that is attributed to his application of first principles thinking. So let's see how we can apply the same principles to the work you're doing as a marketer. So as an example of how to apply first principles thinking to marketing, let's look at SEO, or search engine optimization, probably the most common thing that people think about when they think about marketing in general. And when you look at SEO, it can be overwhelming because there's so many different moving parts, but really there's just three main categories or buckets that you need to think about. You need to think about the content, the architecture, and the backlinks. So real quick, without making this an SEO video, let me explain what that means in a little more detail. If you want to learn about SEO, first you have to figure out what type of content will you be publishing. The content is crucial because you need to answer the search query that the visitor may have as they're searching on Google. And then secondly, you need to figure out the architecture for where that content lives. Most likely it's going to be on your website, maybe on your blog. And so you need to make sure that the page is built so that it's going to load quickly, it's going to pass all of the new performance tests that Google has come out with Core Web Vitals. It's going to have the proper meta tags and descriptions and the proper link structure. It's going to have internal links, and everything will be set up under the surface so that you have a strong architecture for where that content resides. And then finally, there's backlinks. This is often what people think of first when they think about SEO. Oh, I need to get more backlinks. But really, it's just one of several different components of SEO. And so backlinks obviously are very important, but they're not the be-all, end-all. And so when you get backlinks, this is going to send those signals back to Google to say, hey, this is authoritative and relevant content that should be shared and trusted. So you see how if we just learn about content, architecture, and backlinks, and we put it all together, we've basically learned about SEO, and it's a lot easier when we break it down like that using first principles thinking than if we just try to say, hey, I want to learn everything there is to know about SEO, and it's overwhelming and I don't know where to start. Let's look at a few other examples of first principles thinking applied to marketing. So for this one, landing pages. Let's say you want to build landing pages that convert. But what does that mean? Where do you even start? Well, using first principles thinking, you would break down what a landing page is and what it needs to have by thinking of the framework, the offer, the audience, and the messaging that goes into that page experience. So the framework is similar to what we were talking about with the architecture for SEO. It is the structure of the page. So this talks about the design of the page, where it's hosted, how quickly it loads, the usability of the page, where all the different elements are. It's the skeleton of the page. Then we have the offer. In my opinion, the most important part of a landing page is the offer. This is what you're providing, whether you're selling something, whether you're offering something for free, whether you're asking for someone to provide their email address in return for something, or you want someone to click a button or call a phone number. That's your offer. And the way you position that is extremely important. And this is one of the best things you can test on your landing page. Next, you have the audience. Do you know that if you just take a current landing page and you show it to two very different audiences, you could get wildly different results? So the audience is very important when it comes to landing page testing, to make sure that you're leveraging the correct audience with the right messaging. And that brings us to messaging, the fourth component of a good landing page. So you want your messaging to be dialed in, you want the tone to be perfect, you want there to be a strong message match between wherever someone's coming from, whether it be an ad or an email, and the landing page. And all of that should be a cohesive experience for the visitor. So you see how using first principles thinking, instead of thinking about landing pages as this overwhelming thing, we've broken it down into 4 components, and it's a lot easier now to think about what we need to do to get good results. We'll do a few more examples so you get the concept here. So this one is email deliverability, one of my favorite topics. And if you think about how do I get my emails to get to someone's inbox at a higher rate, and how do I make sure they don't end up in the spam folder? Well, email deliverability can be very complicated. It's probably more complicated than anything else we've talked about so far in this video, but really you got to think about the email content, the inbox activity, and your sender reputation. So without going into too much detail, the email content is, what does your message say? What's the subject line? What's the pre-header text? What is in the actual body of the message? Then inbox activity is, what are people doing once they receive that email? Are they flagging it as spam? Are they opening it? Are they replying? Are they clicking on links? Those are signals that the internet service providers are looking at. And then there's sender reputation. You can use a tool like Google Postmaster Tools to see, what does Google think about your reputation and how can you improve that? And that's just one of many different ways to try to improve your sender reputation. And finally, the last example of first principles thinking for marketers is, let's say you want to grow your TikTok following. Really, this applies to any social channel. I'm just going to pick TikTok because that's one of my favorite social channels at the moment. If you want to grow your following on TikTok, really you got to focus on having amazing content, creating a high level of engagement both in your videos and engaging in other people's videos, and then the timing of when you're posting, how frequently you're posting, that type of thing. So there you have it. Hopefully these examples have helped you understand how first principles thinking can be applied to the work you're doing as a marketer, and they'll help you understand some complex concepts in a lot simpler terms. All you have to do is break them down into the component parts. Now, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel for even more marketing tips in the future. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.